They're not supposed to look. They're not supposed to look. They're not supposed to look. So your room. I think they were taught to look straight. I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please remain seated for the recessional of the Double East class of 2019. Please allow the graduates to exit. Thank you for being a part of our community and the support and dedication you give our graduates this evening. Have a great and safe evening.
Is that the same mom with the babies?
What same one?
They did it last year. They just walked. Oh, look at that. They just walking through. So cool. So today's 23rd and I worked past few days, just what, like about 5 hours on this. I finished the edges all around. The only thing I needed to even out were like the top and the bottom, like by widest was I think like a 3 stitches in. So I started marking and I found where the marking is, but I forgot that by dividing total stitches, it's not, you know, exactly 10. So then I kind of left it out, but at least I knew where the very middle is, where I marked it, so I kind of started stitching from that. So this is what you can see done. So just started very top. It was, as you can see, not a lot, about 2 inches on each side of the left of the fabric. So it's not as much as I wanted to, and it was kind of hard to do on the Q-snap, so I really want to make sure that it holds well, so I had to use a little bit extra type of like a felt to hold this tightly in the top, because I didn't wrap all around my Q-snap. And just you can see like this area is this little horn, so did some of the colors in, and that's what you get on 11 count of fabric. So dark colors still can kind of see a little bit through, but it's not bad. I wanted a big size. I didn't want to go on a smaller count, which I could if I wanted to, but that's a choices each of us have to make, if you're okay with this or not. I mean, from here I don't think you can see much of a light showing through. So yep, I didn't pre-wash or anything like that. I already put all my colors back in the bag. I'm gonna set it aside because there's several more new ones left to do this month. I want to continue work on my George project, and I have my second kid's graduation today, so I have to get ready for that, and we're gonna have a guest and cake and all that good stuff. So okay, so let's put this cute dragon aside. It's very easy to stitch because of course it's a big count fabric, and it's just with the 4 threads. We want to make sure that it's secured well enough in the back so it wouldn't get loose when it stays as a pillow. So that's what I've done in the past few days. Not a lot, but just enough to see some stitches progress, and you know, it's not the bottom, it's the top. So all right, let's see what's gonna be next. And it's the 25th of May. So what you see, this big blob is my George project, the whole piece that I'm doing, part of a sky. And that's what pretty much I worked solely in the past several days, and probably will work continuously. So again, I was done like with three full rows, I'm sorry, and worked on others. So I'll show you how much I've done. So you see, that's the 4th row. So I'm on the page 33, I believe, and how much more is left. So you can kind of see it's pretty much just this part, and I will be done with that page. But yesterday I was on virtual stitchers, had a long time of stitching there, and I worked on this. It really helped to break up the monotonous stitching. And I admitted, Vicky showed up there from School of Magical Stitches, that I finally submitted my application for sorting into the house, Hogwarts house. So we'll see which I actually get into. And so yeah, finally I wouldn't say drank the Kool-Aid, because it's much more cooler than that, but I don't know if I'm gonna try to squeeze this piece in magical school. Might have to do that as my was the penalty stitches, but that's what I've been working in the past several days like crazy. And that's what I started on like a 5th of May, and even during Stichmaynia I've been working all that stuff. So still need to do, I'm gonna have to do like another like half a page, I believe, to get my 7,000 stitches in for my challenge, but it's okay, I'll work that. So all of things finished, done, all the guests left, just the weekend of Memorial Day weekend, so happy Memorial upcoming day to all of you. And I'm gonna, I think, pull out something new today to work at least a little bit on, at least to start, and you'll see in a second what it's gonna be. So, and the next thing I decided to pull out, since it was 25th of May, is this kit. I got it at Amishop, like AliExpress, and originally it was dimensions kits like that, but it's been out of print for a long time, so I decided to try their version because it has all kinds of different things. So quickly I'll show you what is included in the kit. I'll do a separate video once I'm done at least some ornaments, so it's gonna be more detailed. So what it included is in these things is a red little pen and blue. And blue, I actually marked the fabric, well, I marked the fabric with both of them to see if it washes off. And to show you, I put it actually in warm water, and I just had a couple X's done, and when you look up close there's a little bit pinkness here, but it was in warm water, so blue actually totally washed out. Just the pink was slightly leaving like a residue behind in warm water. I tested the threads in the warm water, washed some of the stronger colors, and it was not bleeding, so that was good. So these are all the colors that's going to be involved in 6 ornaments, and it's I think it's totally not DMC colors, but there's DMC color numbers given, so I can always replace it if I wanted to. So those are the colors. Also, it was included 2 needles. They're like all the same size and little slightly pointy, you know, sharpness. That, and it had this simple needle minder. So that's what it was. Also, it came with these 18 count fabric pieces. They were not finished, so I did first. I had to go around and you see there was slightly uneven, but I don't understand. Seems like they wanted to stitch one part and the other part would be backing, I guess, because it's enough pieces, you know, for all of them. But the one I was doing, I measured up, and actually I cut it in half. So this is the one I just started, but it's enough time, enough space around, because I want to do different backing than this like Aida type of fabric, because it does look like a Aida. So those are all the pieces. Also included was all stuffing that supposed to be needed to make these ornaments more fluffier, and a big group of different types of ribbons. And there's some beads gonna be, which also I'm gonna check, make sure it doesn't wash out the color. So let's see what it involves as a pattern. So all the colors are done, and like a full stitch, you see it's some of them in 2, some in 1, and then there's some blends. There's a half stitch, French knots. So it should be a little bit more than a plain Chinese version of regular crosses. And the sizing of all of them ornaments are giving, so it's not exactly same size. There's some are 70 by 70, some of them like 80 by 67, so it's a different variation. And it says it's gonna come with 6 sets. So they were like showing instructions how to do some of the stitches, if it's gonna be involved in that. And I'll show you my first pattern. So there is a big one. It comes each ornament with 2 pieces of paper, so kind of trimmed one down and attached it. But that's how the whole thing looks. It's a big size, you know, compared to my hand. So it's very easy to stitch on. You don't have to strain your eyes. And let's see how much I've done in the past like 2 days. Just like, I don't know, 4 hours maybe total stitching while watching Floss 2. And that's what I've done. So the very first color I picked was like a edge, and it was a blend, although you kind of couldn't tell that was exactly a blend from looking at it. So they already have several blends. Some of the stitches were with 1 thread already, some with 2, and you see I done blue dots with that blue pen that I seen washed out. So I put it in this little frame with the tags. So that's what I got. It's just this corner right here. So I think I'm gonna set it aside because I have other things I need to stitch on and challenges to meet. So we'll see what I'm gonna grab next. Well guys, past few days in honor of Memorial Day weekend, so like Monday and Tuesday, I worked on my Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. So to remind, I had everything done except the beading around her head, flag, and a little bit in the like this area. So she's all done. Da 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 da. So this fabric is again called We the People by Fabric Flair. And the only thing I needed to do was like this area with the beads and all those beads around her head and those little bit around a flame, and in the flame torch holding, so like dark beads and light ones. So she's fully done. I need to figure out how I want to frame her for fully finish, but she's done. And I'm still trying to figure out, I want to put my name and a date in there, so probably somewhere in the bottom. If you've done it before, could you let me know like how you did it, or maybe I don't know how you can put the pictures in, but I want to make sure I remember when it was done. And this is beautiful piece. It's a 28 count fabric. So to show you how much it is on the sides left, it's fairly enough. I used my Omanic frames. I might do the separate video about this piece. And again, I've done the skin over one, changed slightly how it went with the shading. So try to make a smoother transition between colors. But she's done, so it's excited. She was one of my Stitch 9 challenges for this year, one of the big ones, and I finished it. And it took me almost 2 years. So I started on the 4th of July in 2017. So it's not exactly 4th of July yet. So I'm hoping to have her fully finished and framed, hopefully by Independence Day, American Independence Day. But yeah, so just a beading done, and it's also in her hair. You can kind of see a bunch of beads here to kind of pile up. So yay, exciting. And I still have my like 3 different new starts during this Stichmaynia. So I have several days only left, and one previous mania leftover from last year. So let's see what I'm gonna grab next. And I decided to grab Just Nan's a Tiny Reindeer cube. So I'm gonna start off my first little ornament by Just Nan. I guess you can call it ornament, something very small. And these are all the threads that are needed, including one Kreinik. All of these little embellishments were included with the chart, so I didn't have to look for them. And this is 32 count, which one was it? Lakeside Blue linen. So that should have enough piece to do it. And I think I might have only one day to work on this. I think I pulled out the recommended Weeks Dye Works Sky Linen, but it was much lighter, I believe, at least in LNS when I was looking for it. So I kind of went by this picture. Hopefully it will look with the threads the same way, but I went by the picture and I picked this color. So we'll see how it is gonna look then with all those threads. So that's my project for new start for this 2019 Mania, and let's get on with it. Well, on the 29th I decided to start this Just Nan's a Tiny Reindeer cube, and the fabric that I decided to stitch I picked by looking at the picture. So it's a Lakeside Blue 32 count as suggested, because I just, when I pulled out the, maybe it was a different dye lot, but when I at the LNS I looked, that color was much different, like more bland color. So I wanted something like stand out more like this. So that's what I picked, and it's slightly bigger than it needs to be, just because it was there. So I stitched for several hours. By the way, this mouse is a separate pattern, so it's not included. It's just a cube, and it had all the beads in it included with the pattern. So let's see how much I've done. Ta-da! Let's move this way. So what I did, she suggests, when you do measuring up and then just go in the middle and start, because it's like centered, then you have 3 on the sides and 2 on the bottom pieces, and she suggested start from the top. But since my piece of fabric was a bit bigger, so I kind of measured up the very middle, and I looked at the pattern where it would be very middle, and that's where I started. So I believe this is gonna be the top in here with all those little trees. So all of the reindeer except Rudolph are gonna be in it. The birds are stitched over one, so she's giving a separate little a bigger size pattern piece for the birds. So I finished the whole thing middle. It has to be backstitch with B5200, because that's how you're gonna know how to stitch together the sides. Like in here you can see too. So finish it all. I didn't put the beads only, I'll do that at the end. But this is like this X is a cryonic, so it's lots of little stitches that seems like you just put in a needle and then you're done and you have to change the needle. So as you can see, I kind of start going into the side and on the bottom. One of the don't know which side it would be, but that's how it is. And so it's fun. It's not hard, of course, and I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy stitching it, and I hope you'll enjoy following me with this. Also, I put this aside because the Stichmaynia is almost over, and I still have 2 new pieces to start and 1 piece from previous mania. But I wanted to finish 1 challenge, and this is ta-da! My George. So for my one of the Facebook groups, I had to do like 7,000 this month, because it's each month's 500 stitches more. So since what May 5th, I did where the needle is, so this whole thing, so it made about 7,200 stitches, I believe. And yeah, I don't think I can do 7,500. But to show you, that's what the whole piece looks like. And these are, not the dirty spots. That's how it looks from further away, the shading. So it's again on an 18 count, and I have a piece of sky. If you seeing this or forgot what it looks like, so I can start seeing lots of like brighter blues coming out in here. We're stitching with Sullivan threads. So that's let's see, I think I did, is that the third, that was 3rd page or 4th page, can't even remember how much it was, but 1 page is just over 2,400 stitches count. So been working hard on this, and I'm totally ready set aside and really let it rest for a bit, and I don't want to do that much and ignore all other pieces, because what I want to stitch right now is another Mirabilia, which would be this one. What's that? Deep under the blue, something like that. Water. So again, as a reminder, I'm doing the skin 1/1 with the Rainbow Gallery Silk Splendor, and I just started kind of put in outline for my small stitching, and then it's gonna be like beads. I did a little bit, we'll see how it looks, because it was very straight line here and it was a little bulby kind of here, so kind of evened out a little bit here, and I changed slightly line in there, so we'll see if that's how I like it. But that's where I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna finish outlining this arm too, and then I'm gonna start stitching, because majority is just her skin, and then all the beading that needs to be done. And of course there's going to be some cryonic, I think, in here, but a lot of beads. So that's almost the top of the pattern. There's going to be just a little bit more like a bubbles or something like that. So that's what I'm working on, and maybe I'll put in a couple hours before I pull out my next new start for Mania. And it's a 30th, so I've just outlined the arms where it needs to be, did some more stitching like in here, several colors. But today I just stopped because I just got finally sorted out into School of Magical Stitches and Literature, and I'm a house Slytherin, so go Slytherins. My maiden name is actually comes from snake, which is supposed to bring good luck into the house, not a poisonous snake. So I'm putting this away, and I'm gonna try to do within a few days homework. That's SPEW, and for that I'm gonna start this one, which was originally planned for my Stichmaynia start. So this is called Etude with Strawberries by Luca-S or Luca-S, Moldovan company. It includes a Zweigart fabric and anchored threads. And the fabric, what looks like to me is 18 count, and I'll show you what it came in the kit. So these are all the colors that are there. So all the things are marked, and the fabric is unfinished edges, so I'll do that first. It came with the needle, and I put it on my needle minder that I made out of a brooch, I think. And I don't remember if I've done before Luca-S patterns, but look at the pattern page size, right? It's like a 2 8.5 by 11 kind of size attached. So it's a 6 pages of the pattern like this. So, but it's exciting to start, and I'm glad that this was working out of my original plan for Stichmaynia, since I have 2 projects that I want to start before tomorrow. So I do one today and one tomorrow. I already figured out my SPEW SPEW, what I'm gonna do. There's still some questions I have about the whole procedure of different things, and like what exactly called, like this is company starts with L, right? But can I do like an artist, like who painted it, not designer? Because sometimes you have like a Heaven and Earth designs, you have Michelle as a designer, but you have an artist who painted. So it's like, which one is it? Can I use all 3, like have a HAED, you know, Michelle Aida and the designer's names to choose from or not? So I still have a bunch of questions, still a bunch of to learn, and I actually pulled out my big book, Goblet of Fire, which is May-June's reading thing. And for good luck, I brought my Harry Potter with the snitch. My kids were heavily also in the Harry Potter from years ago. So I have all kinds of Harry Potter things, and this rolls by itself when you when you start. So yeah, so I'm gonna have this as a good luck charm, start reading and stitching and posting and all kinds of stuff. So it's exciting, and need to start all of that at the same time, right? Plus have a life outside of magical school. So wish me luck, and let's get on with the strawberry etude. It's the same day. Later on, getting towards evening, sun is going down. So I've put in 212 stitches into this etude, I guess how you pronounce it, etude of strawberries. And I started from a very middle, and I'll show you how much I've done. So here you see, it would be this strawberry. I tried to fill in, I'll bring you closer. I tried to fill in all the possible close parts, except those couple of stitches gonna be in the hole, and started kind of connect stem with another berries. And to wait for this moment to get in the School of Magical Stitches, I got this little counter, which is for knitters, I guess. I had it coupon at the Joann's probably store, and I got it. So I was kind of clicking, learning to do, haven't even finished clicking because I would forget when it's done clicking, so I just went and I counted in the pattern and in the fabric stitches to make sure. So I'm still learning with my little clicker. I still didn't figure out how to use it properly on the fingers because sometimes I use my right hand underneath, sometimes left, because my right arm by the thumb, it kind of got a nerve, a little tick started. So, but that's what I finished. I already posted on my SPEW homework. So because I have until Sunday, so that's what I did. So as you can see, the edges, so I finished. I didn't go like with the straight stitch. The fabric was cut perfectly in line with all the stitches. I didn't have to cut anything off. And according to like a patterns, everything stitch regular crosses except like this is gonna have it showing like it's gonna have a half stitch, which is also with 2 threads. But what got me a little bit confused, because there's no extra explanation, is what are these writings mean. It's exact same numbers, something, so don't know what to do, what that means. I read through all instructions because that was very short, but nowhere else that it says anything about those numbers. So this is what got me confused, because it doesn't look like this is very, very dark, like a green, and this is bright red. So wasn't sure, is that supposed to be somewhere like a blend of it or what? Luca-S usually doesn't do any blends, it's just straight crosses, except like occasional things like that. So you see how I organize my threads right now, still on these holders. I was kind of in a hurry to do this, and yeah, so that's for letter E for this homework, and I'll show in a second for my different letter what I picked. So this would be these couple, Aiden and Rowan, I guess, and it's Heaven and Earth design called Beloved, artwork by Adele Sessler. So again, I'm doing this on a 14 count half stitch continental stitch, so I guess I would have to make 400 stitches, and that's where I'm starting. So turns out it's like 25 more stitches, and the first row would be done. So there's some left in here to do, a couple of hiding, and I need to finish marking. So exactly like 25 stitches from this point in, and then I can start the next row. It's exciting. I thought it's gonna be a little bit even more to the side. So as you can see, I left enough fabric to do the framing for later on. But yeah, so this is what is left of my what I call it now tapestry. There you go. So that's pretty much, you see the whole row, what it's gonna be like looking, and this is my hand. So it's big and wide, and yeah, need to take a picture, post it of this, and get on with this. I'm probably gonna finish only tomorrow since it's practically dinner time. Need to prepare that, and hope your days are going well. So 5 points already got for Slytherin, so yay, exciting. All right, well, it's kind of getting late at night, but I managed to put in about 454 half stitches into my Beloved, and I'll show you how I know. Actually, I attach with the magnets discounter, so every time I put in a half stitch, I just click and continue stitching. So I'll show you how much it went. So I marked actually to the very end of my pattern, so I lined up. Before it was just a little bit like here done, and pretty much just a few stitches here, so I finished quite a bit in here. attached, added a few more fillings in here. There's some loose fillings there, and started to do this because I wanted to reach all the way to the end, which I did, and it took me just several hours to do this. So yeah, I kind of like this idea. Maybe somebody else came up with that, maybe not, but it might be useful tip for you if you have something like this small. It's just these pokes right now, it's not sitting flat, but I just do want this side to flap. So I'm gonna reset this little thingy. Yeah, its fabric is a bit softer in here, so I have to do like this. So just like clicking like that, and then put in stitches and stuff like that. So I already posted in my homework with all of this before and after picture. So again, it's exciting to reach the very end, which is just gonna be kind of like a grayish stuff, because this big black thing is this thing curving up, and you can kind of see this darkness coming out here. So it's just similar colors, gonna be a bunch of mixes, of course, because it's HAED anyway. So 2 more left. So I just set up for my next one, and it's gonna be this under what is it considered P, which is Panna company. So I just recently started this pillow, so I guess that can be useful. And I had to go through my list and actually figure out what I have, and W was the hardest, I think, for me to do, but I'll show you where I'm gonna start. And that's this. It's kind of hiding a little bit below that I started just the very top tip of my little dragon. And so let's see, like this part you can see in here. So all of the very top is done. So just going down. So I think it should not be very hard. There's quite a few of them gonna be color changes, but there's some like a blocks or similar colors at least. So I'm hoping to post it tomorrow in my homework with this, because I also wanna start tomorrow my last one, which is W, and it's gonna be What's This by HAED. So it's gonna be hard to follow project, but I thought tomorrow we are planning to go to like a zoo with a bunch of kids that I'm taking for like a whole morning into afternoon, because the school is out and they have nothing else to do. So yep, so that's where I'm starting, and the next you will see is when I'm done with at least 200 stitches with this. And it's the 1st of June, so a happy first day of summer, everyone. Even though it's not like in the nature, it's not considered summer, but it's still a first day of June. So I finished working on this yesterday a little bit, and I actually put in 500 stitches for there was a quick pop-up challenge in Slytherin House, and I guess all other houses in Magical School. So I'll show you how much I have. Ta-da! It doesn't look like a lot, right? But it's over 1. Lots of little crosses over little 1. And I've used, let's see, 4 colors. So first I tried like it's repeating colors, repeating pattern, like 3 groups. So like this kind of flower, I did the very middle and then went up and did the border in 1 color, and then from that I kind of looked up and started to do some of the colors that kind of sort of connect in between. But it was getting very late at night, and I decided to stop. And I think it was like we needed to do 1,500 or 15,000 stitches by Sunday as a house. And I think once I post, I was hearing that we're about to go over it, so that's exciting. And I'll have one letter challenge left to do, which is gonna be Heaven and Earth Designs, because it's a W letter. So I have to do that before tomorrow. So that's how the threads look like. Just pull out one at a time like it usually. And I think I'll finish with this, my Stichmaynia. I might grab tomorrow. There was no time yesterday to do my last day's project from previous Mania. So kind of got a little behind because I worked more on this one. So I think that's it. Thank you for watching me, and hope to get any comments. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask, and I'll be happy to answer them. So until the next time, I'll be doing next probably my monthly overview, but that might have to wait a couple of days. So again, this was Jurgita, and thank you for staying with me and keeping company with me. And till next time, happy stitching, everyone. Bye bye.